It's been nearly a month and a half since the last time I nearly made a video, but we are back and we're going to be rolling as, what do you know, free agency starts in a week from probably the day you're seeing this. So we're going to be rolling. Obviously, this is old news, what we're going to be going over in this video, but I do plan to release a video every single day up until when the tampering period begins next Monday. So a video should be out, maybe even 2 every single day, depending what the Lions do. I made at least 10 videos that I'm going to be making here, rolling out within the next week before the tampering period starts, and then there will be live videos obviously being released whenever the Lions decide to re-sign players or restructure contracts, whenever that is, because they're currently still over the cap, so they can't even re-sign anybody right now until they free up some cap space. They're like $9 or $8 million over the cap space at this current moment. So the Lions gonna have to start releasing some players and restructuring contracts to get under the cap to finally restart re-signing players. I would expect that to start happening within the next couple of days. But what we're going to be going over in today's video is the fact, this is a big one to start off the video, and that is that Rod Wood is retiring as Detroit Lions team president and CEO. Now, I don't really think he has to do with anything when it comes to the signing of players and making decisions with the team and contracts, handling contracts and stuff like that. I think he's more to do with ticket sales and jersey sales and, you know, item prices for concessions within the stadium. I think that's more of what he is about. So I don't really think this is too big of a loss. I appreciate what Rod Wood did for us, but I don't really think that's that big of a loss, to be completely honest with you. I've heard rumors that Mike Disner, who has a big part to do with the Lions contracts, could become the next team president and CEO. I really want to understand that. I think Chris Spielman has a better shot to become that than Mike Disner, but we'll see what happens anyway. But again, Rod Wood, I felt like I should talk about that. It really isn't going to affect this much, in my opinion, but is stepping away, so appreciate what he did for the Lions organization. And we'll go ahead and start with the coaching staff here. Now let's start with the main part of the coaching staff, which we've already all know what it is. Dan Campbell, the head coach; Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator; Kevin Shepard, defensive coordinator; Dave Phipp will stay the special teams coordinator. Scotty Montgomery has been, I don't really know what this means, associate head coach. I've tried to look it up and I really can't get a proper answer on it. So you're going to have to tell me in the comment section down below if you know what it means. He's been promoted/demoted to associate head coach. I really don't know if that's promotion or demotion. I really don't know what that is. But he will remain the wide receiver coach as well. And Jim O'Neill has replaced Scotty Montgomery and got a promotion to be the assistant head coach / safeties coach. Lions had a real shot to lose Jim O'Neill. I think it was to the Jets to become their next defensive coordinator. We were able to retain him, and he obviously gets the promotion to be the assistant head coach. Now, I don't really know which one's better, the associate head coach or the assistant head coach. I really don't know. I would like to know that, but I can't really get clarification on that. I've already tried to through AI and just looking it up, and I really haven't found an answer to it. So if you know what it means, please leave in the comments down below. But nonetheless, the main, overall coaching staff here stays the same. Besides Scotty Montgomery, maybe get promoted, demoted. I don't really know. And Steve O'Neill obviously being promoted to assistant head coach. When it comes to the offense, nothing has changed here besides 2 things. I just shouldn't say nothing. Actually, a decent amount has changed here. Nothing has really changed with the defense. We'll go over that here in a minute. Mark Brunell remains the quarterback coach. Tashard Choice remains the running backs coach. I thought there might have been a chance they moved off Tashard Choice just because I didn't really know if now the running backs kind of took a step back last year, so I didn't really know if they're going to move off Tashard Choice. But again, in my opinion, it has to do with a lot more with the offensive line. But I thought there was a chance to move off of Tashard Choice. I wouldn't say that they would. I would have expected them to keep him like they did, but I thought there was a decent chance that maybe they go off him, try something new. But they ended up keeping Tashard Choice. Hank Fraley remains the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach. I thought there was a chance that he ended up getting his run game coordinator removed from him, and I thought Mike Kafka had a shot to become the run game coordinator, or somebody else within the organization, where that's Steve Oliver, who we'll talk about here in a minute, or somebody else, but he keeps it nonetheless. Bruce Gradkowski, the Dolphins actually were planning to interview him for their quarterback coach, but the Lions denied it, which they never really do. So that's just to show what he means to the organization. He will remain, I believe, the assistant wide receivers coach. I believe that's what he was last year. Could be wrong. If I am wrong, leave in the comments down below. Mike Kafka Obviously, a big hiring that the Lions made. Haven't talked about it since the Lions hired him on the channel. Really like the hiring overall. You can go check out when I made the video about us interviewing him for the offensive coordinator job. I really like this pickup a lot. I would have preferred him to be offensive coordinator, to be honest with you, over Drew Petzing at the time. I do want to clarify this on Drew Petzing. I've had a month and a half, nearly a month and a half to really think about it. The hiring a little bit more. I like it a little bit more than I did before. I still don't necessarily like the hires, and overall, like, I'd still say no to the hiring in terms of how much I like it. But I mean, I despised the move when it happened. I don't despise it anymore, but I still am going to stand on business and say I don't like this hiring. But I do not hate it as much as I did before. But Mike Kafka joining the Lions also makes me like the hiring a lot more as well, because I think he's going to have a big part to do with the Lions' success next year in the offense. Because I do think I do think the offense is going to take a step forward next year. So, and I think Mike Kafka is going to have a big part to do with that as well with Drew Petzing. So Mike Kafka, passing game coordinator, is probably the right move. We'll talk about who he replaces as passing game coordinator. Justin Mesa is the offensive quality control coach. I don't really know who that is, to be honest with you. I don't really know all the healthy guys and to be honest with you, I don't really know that much within the coaching staff when it comes to the quality controls and stuff. I just don't really pay attention to that. Steve Oliver has been promoted from assistant offensive line coach to tight ends coach. Been with the organization, I believe, since 2022. And Dan Campbell basically just said he deserved the promotion, so we'll see how it works out there. I've seen him interview with Tim Twentyman a couple of weeks ago. I really liked his interview, so obviously we'll see if his success can match his interview and personality, but we'll see what happens. Seemed like he knows the game very well. We'll just leave it at that. David Shaw has actually been demoted to passing game specialist rather than passing game coordinator. He was the passing game coordinator last year. He has now been demoted to pass game specialist. Again, we'll still have probably a big part to do with the passing game next year, but Mike Kafka now takes that role. I'm glad David Shaw remains with the organization, though. Dan Skipper, haven't talked about this either. He's returning to the Lions as an offensive assistant, is what it says here, but he is actually going to be the Lions' assistant offensive line coach, is what I've been hearing, obviously. But that is nice to see Dan Skipper return, obviously, and hopefully still get that Super Bowl ring. But we'll see what he does to the Lions' offensive line. But I didn't really think that Dan Skipper would ever become a coach just from, I didn't really ever see him becoming a coach. But nonetheless, he will be assistant offensive line coach for us next season, or as it says here, offensive assistant. And then Marquez Tuiasopo, if that's how you pronounce it, will be the offensive assistant. I know who he is. He's been with the organization for a couple of years now. I just don't know how to pronounce his name, but he will remain an offensive assistant. And when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, again, nothing has changed here, so we're just going to run through this. At least from what I remember, nothing has changed here. Caleb Collins will remain as a defensive assistant. David Carrera will remain as a senior defensive assistant and the outside linebackers coach. Dion Hamilton will remain the linebackers coach. August Mangan will remain the defensive assistant. Casey Rogers will remain the run game coordinator and defensive line coach. Really glad he stayed. I thought there might have been a chance he got a defensive coordinator interview somewhere. Dre Thompson will remain the WCF minority coaching assistant and the defensive quality control coach. And Deshaun Townsend, one of my favorite coaches on the whole entire team, will remain the defensive passing game coordinator and the defensive backs coach for the Detroit Lions, and obviously Jim O'Neill will be the safeties coach. So I like overall that the defensive side of the ball, when it came to the coaching staff, stayed the same. I would have liked the Detroit Lions to add a veteran coach to the defensive side of the ball, which they did not add. I still believe they can do it, but at this point right now, they have not added anybody, and they probably won't add anybody. But nonetheless, I do like that everybody stayed here. I thought everybody deserved to stay here. I thought Casey Rogers improved our defensive line. I thought Deshaun Townsend is a much better coach than our previous DB coaches, one of them being Dre Bly, who now was actually the assistant DB coach for the Jets last year, has been relieved of his duties entirely, and he's just a much better defensive back coach in my opinion, the best one we've had in a long time. And then obviously Steve O'Neill is a great coach. Jim O'Neill is a great coach as well. So overall, like the defensive side of the ball as well for the Detroit Lions. And let me get the last bit pulled up right here. the special teams and the if I can find it, there we go, and the strength and conditioning. For special teams, Dave Fipp will remain special teams coordinator, obviously. Jet Modkins, who had a couple actual special team coordinator interviews with other teams, will remain the assistant special teams coach. One of these years, though, he's going to be able to get that special teams coordinator job he's been looking for. And the strength and conditioning, we had a big one retire for the Detroit Lions, who is no longer on this list, obviously, because he's no longer with us. He is retired, and that is, I didn't bring it in. I can't remember who it is now. Mike Clark, yes. Mike Clark has retired, and he is no longer on the Detroit Lions. Strength and conditioning, was with the Lions for a long time, in the NFL for a long time, was with Dan Campbell a long time as well. He is no longer going to be with the Detroit Lions. But when it comes to the strength and conditioning coach, you see it right here. This is the list. Not going to go over any of these guys because I don't know really who any of them are. Probably should take a look at them because, again, our injuries have had a big part to do with our success in the past 2 years. That's no excuse, though, obviously, for our lack of success last year. But there is your strength and conditioning. Coach right there. Pause the video if you want to check it out. And that is your overall Detroit Lions 2026 coaching staff. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, not much to take away from this. Mike Kafka was really the only addition since the last time I've got in front of here. Again, I think it will help the offense out a lot. He's been essentially all over the place. I'm pretty sure he's been a tight end coach. He's had to do a lot with the passing game in his time in his coaching in the league. Was obviously offensive coordinator and interim head coach for the Giants last season. I thought he was a very good interim head coach as well. Nearly beat us when we played him last season. He's been a quarterback coach as well. He's gonna have a big part to do with their offense, and obviously had some demotions as well, with David Shaw being demoted and potentially Scotty Montgomery as well. But we also had a couple of promotions as well with Steve Oliver and Jim O'Neill. So leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Probably not the best video back. Let me know in the comments how I did. I felt like I was a little bit off, but hopefully we'll get it back within the next couple of videos. I don't know, what do you want to call it? My success in this. I don't really know. I feel like I'm a good talker in front of a camera. I don't know how this video was. So grade me in the comments down below. But one, probably go Lions. We're going to be grinding within this last week before free agency. Go Lions.